What's good, you guys? It's your boy Jay Freshman back with another tutorial. Today, I'm gonna pretty much give you ideas of how to like approach making melodies because you're probably getting tired of using loops or feeling like you don't want to rely on them or whatever the case is. Not to say loops or MIDI are bad. You just kind of want to understand the fundamentals and understand the patterns that are going on so you can implement it in your music. So here's how this sounds.
Jay Freshman.
All right. So let's start off with the chords. So if you're a beginner, you're probably thinking like, "Whoa, how are these chords? They're so spread apart." And you got it right. They are spread apart, and that's what you call voicing. What I'm doing right now is just bringing it back down. This last chord is actually not a chord. It's just notes that sound good when it's voiced correctly. So, tip 1, using this kind of voicing where you just put the third in another octave will always sound nice. This is what they use in like movie soundtracks to make it sound epic, like Hans Zimmer and all this. Don't get it mistaken. Like music is full of patterns. They're not just coming out the blue with certain things. Especially you gotta remember, music has been around for such a long time. There's been a lot of great composers before our time. And instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, you really want to just implement what they use or their mindset and implement it in your own thing. And this is like unlimited resources because there's so many great composers of our time right now and in the past. So you can never really run out of ideas when you're approaching music this way and this, innovating off of this. So this is actually a technique. Like I said, this is not really a chord, but I just brought it up. And now hear how it sounds by itself. Yeah, that sounds really great. When it comes to like making like trap progressions, you want it to be very simple and a lot of space. You don't want to be going crazy with your chords and, chopping it up like you're in pop music or something like that. This is all about simplicity. You can get creative and, add, some rhythm right here. And, you can find the spots for it. But for me, I really like to keep things simple. And just hear the sound itself. Let's go into an EQ. Sound selection matters when it comes to making great melodies. So as you can see, this is really taking over the bass and the low mid. And you have some mids and the highs, but it's not as much. And this is great because now when I add other sounds, it's going to be a lot easier because most sounds is going to have high end and more of, the mids as well. This sound really just have bass and low mid. So I could really go with any sound from here. But also when I'm thinking about sound selection, I'm thinking about sounds that relate to this vibe. So here goes the keys. Like it stands out, but the vibe doesn't sound like it's going from very vibey to something so aggressive. Just using the EQ, you can see right here, it's taking over the lows, mids, and the high mids, and that's what we needed as well. And like I said, the sound is not so aggressive. It's not like a electric guitar or some crazy EDM sound. This all fits what's going on. So when it comes to melodies, it's really simple and it's really around 3 to 5 notes, really just 3 to 4, honestly, especially in trap. And you want to keep it simple because then you can always build everything else around it to make it more complex. I just did octaves. So these are octaves that you're looking at, same note, but is in a different range. So when you have your like actual main melody, these are the notes that you could always go off from, because this is kind of like the singer singing these kind of notes, and then you keep arranging them in many different ways. So these are like the fundamental notes that I use for this melody. All right, so now that we have both of those melodies, then I just added this bell. Just look how the melodies match up. They're not all hitting on the same notes, you feel me? And this is really what makes a difference with your melodies. You want to have it complement each other, and the way you complement each other is by filling in the space. It's okay if some lands on them, but you really want to kind of fill in the space. So as you can see, I put this on 1 and then 2 and. Well, technically this will be 3 and, because the 2 will be right here. As you see these lines, if you're a beginner, these lines just represents each beat. So 1 beat, 2 beat, 3 beat, 4 beat. And what you see right here in these 4 blocks, it will be, so you have your 16 and your 8 notes in that. So 1 E and 2 E and then so on. So you want to find the pockets. And it just sounds so good because you could just hear that it's bouncing off each other. And that's what a counter melody is supposed to do. And let's just look at the EQ for this. So yes, this actually has the same frequency as the keys. They're both like really to the mids and the high mids. But like I said, the fact that it's bouncing off each other, it doesn't really interfere. And when you have sounds in the high end, you have more leeway to get away with, rather than having a lot of sounds in the low end. Because with the low end, it just gets muddy. But as far as 2 sounds in the high end, like mid range and going up, you're fine. And then there's always room for more. But if you're going to add more, keep it in this range. You don't really want to add more to the low end unless there's like one note that's hitting right here and then another note hitting right there. You don't want it to clash. So if you found this video helpful, make sure you like and subscribe and share with your other producer friends.